What we thought about, particularly with the distance learning, was that it's quite it can feel quite cold, I suppose, in that the distance learning model that we employ in the School of English is a fairly standard one, I think, where the students kind of have material to read and they might have email exchanges, but obviously you don't kind of hear people's voices or see people's faces. So originally, when I was thinking about video feedback, we were talking about actually kind of videoing the lecturer talking, and then we decided that would be far too scary for both lecturer and student. So we've used a form of screen capture where you can highlight things on the screen and at the same time record the teacher's voice. So the teacher effectively talks the student through their response to the essay and can highlight sort of live, as it were, elements of the essay and talk about what was good or what was problematic about it. And the students seem to have responded to that really well. They've really liked it. Similarly with the audio feedback, I think they've had a sense that you can hear the marker kind of responding to the work. And my students sort of say to me, I could tell that I could tell you were getting to the point where you could decide a mark. So there's much more a sense of your thinking process in a way being on show. But I think actually the students quite like that. They can kind of see, yeah, I can hear in your voice, there's a good bit here, there's a more problematic bit here. And obviously with both of those things, again, we've tried to keep the form of that kind of feedback, strengths feedback, things to improve, things to take forward, feed forward, things to take forward, structure to it. So, being very careful at the beginning and the end of the feedback to say, these are the things to kind of note or to take forward. But it seems to have worked quite well. We haven't done it on a big scale yet. That's something that I want to kind of carry on doing. But for those students who have had it, it seems to have gone down pretty well. I think it is, well, from looking, I mean, as a result of kind of trying to do it, I've looked at a lot of practice elsewhere. And I think the general conclusion is that it's a really good method of giving feedback in that the sort of written comments aren't particularly well received by students. It's quite hard to get them to engage. So that sort of hearing somebody is quite a way of connecting the student to their work and to getting them to think about it. It's not a quick method, so it doesn't necessarily save you masses of time. And to begin with, I probably talked more than I need to. You can probably tell by my answers. So I think one of the things is kind of being quite strict in a way that when you get to 6 minutes or whatever, that's enough. You don't need to talk for half an hour. 6 minutes, I think every minute is probably about 150 words. So 6 minutes, you're giving them far more than they'd get on a feedback sheet. And I think that's okay. That's a reasonable amount. It should be that's probably all that they can usefully take in. It does stop you getting cramp or whatever from marking, so it's a positive thing on that front, I think. And it's I think kind of working out with students, making sure that they understand that that's what's going to happen. Obviously, if anybody's got any issues with it or they've got hearing difficulties, then you'd need to kind of work out an alternative strategy, and giving them a sort of summary of written feedback is probably quite a useful thing, so they feel they've got something. Not sure how other schools handle things like feedback day, but we tend to give the essays back with the feedback, and then they come to us for the marks. So we ask them to think about the feedback as part of the process of the tutorial discussion. But obviously with audio feedback, they don't have it there and then in a way that they do with the written feedback. So that's something that I want to work on this year in terms of perhaps giving them it a couple of days earlier so that they can reflect on it before they come and get the mark. Might be one way around that. Back to academic community, one of the sessions next year will actually be to have a formal feedback appointment with the tutor on an individual basis. And one of the pieces of work on the module which they have to submit by the end of the year is a feedback action plan on one essay. So we're going to ask them to choose an essay, to respond to the feedback on it, to identify what the strengths and the weaknesses of the work were, and then to tell us how they acted on those in their next piece of work. So hopefully we build in a process of them seeing that feedback is more than a mark, but it's actually some help for next time. And often if you get them to come and see you with everything, you can quite often say to students, can you notice a pattern emerging? Because a lot of them, even in an essay, they might have a literature essay and a drama essay and a language essay, but it might say on all of them, you've got a problem with structuring your work, or you tend to have a good idea and then sort of take it too far and not bring it back to the content of the essay. And often just getting students to actually take a step back and say, okay, I can see that there's a general problem and I need to work on that. And then you can try and help them to get a strategy to develop from there.